Jwwilliams funeral directors have been proudly serving the people of this community since 1918. Service is our motto. The poor, the rich, the middle class and all are given the best of care and attention at all times. You have the privilege to select what you want. In your time of need, contact the capable, the competent, and the dependable staff of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home who is genuinely concerned with your care. At Jwwilliams Funeral Home, you are aptly served by the proprietor president, Deacon Arthur L. Parker, who continues the traditions and values set forth by the past president, Dr. Napoleon Williams. Your announcers for the Jwwilliams Funeral Home Sunday morning program are Deacon Arthur L. Parker, Reverend Isaac H. Owens, Mrs. Calandra Wilkerson Parker, Minister Frankie Harmon, Ms. Sandra Johnson, and Deacon Earl Clark, Jr.
Thank you, and good morning, friends. We come to you this morning to bring announcements, dedications, and songs. We certainly hope that your day may be brighter after listening to our program. The family of Miss Darlene Jones of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Loistine Rockwell Griffin of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mr. Breon LaShawn Armstrong of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Deacon Lonnie Clayton of Byronville, Georgia. Would like to thank their many friends for the food, the flowers, the condolences, and all other expressions of sympathy and kindness shown to them during their hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. Miss Darlene Jones, age 63, of 512 West 17th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Sunday, November 3rd at Wellstar Hospital in Augusta, Georgia. The funeral service for Miss Darlene Jones, age 63, was held Sunday, November 10th in the chapel of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home in Cordele, Georgia. Her pastor, Elder Owita Hegman, pastor of the St. Paul Presbyterian Church, officiated. The burial followed at the Sunnyside Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include her cherished and adored mother, Mother Pauline Jones of Cordele, Georgia. Her beloved sons, Mr. Cedric J. Mobley Sr. and his wife, Mrs. Sabrina Mobley, Mr. Waltavius L. Mobley Sr., and Mr. Justin J. Jones Sr. and his wife, Mrs. Tremiska Jones, and Mr. Jeffrey J. Rogers, all of Cordele, Georgia. 22 adored grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild, her beloved sisters, Miss Brenda Jones, Miss Denise Kendrick, both of Cordele, Georgia. Her beloved brothers, Mr. Nathaniel Robes and his wife, Mrs. Sue Robes of Oglethorpe, Georgia. Mr. Wayne Barner, Mr. Kennedy Robinson, and Mr. Ralph Barner, all of Cordele, Georgia. A beloved uncle, Mr. Charlie Ross Sr. of Cordele, Georgia. 16 beloved nieces and nephews, her loving cousins, and a host of other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends to include Mr. and Mrs. George Hamilton and family of Fort Valley, Georgia, Miss Johnny Mae Smith, the Wilson family, Miss Lavetta R. Johnson, Miss Jacqueline Holton, Miss Rosalind Oliver Montfort, and Miss Latrice Oliver survived. Miss Darlene Jones, age 63, of 512 West 17th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. Mrs. Lois Teen Rockwell Griffin, age 80, of 474 Williams Road, Cordele, Georgia, died Monday, November 4th, at the Piedmont Newman Hospital in Newman, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Lois Teen Rockwell Griffin, age 80, was held Sunday, November 10th, in the sanctuary of the Blue Spring Baptist Church in Oakfield, Georgia. The pastor, Reverend Samuel Stokes, officiated. The burial followed at the Mount Zion Cemetery in Oakfield, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Mr. Bunny James Newberry of Sylvester, Georgia, Mrs. Cheryl Griffin Limehouse and her husband, Mr. Sidney Limehouse of Sonora, Georgia, Mr. Danny Griffin and Miss Beverly G. Griffin, both of Cordele, Georgia. 14 beloved grandchildren, 10 great-grandchildren, a beloved daughter-in-law, Mrs. Annie Griffin of Americus, Georgia, her beloved sisters, Mother Ora Lee Morris of Warwick, Georgia, Mrs. Dorothy Smith and her husband, the Reverend Robert Smith of Oakfield, Georgia, Mrs. Catherine Corelli of Ashburn, Georgia, Mrs. Linda Felton and her husband, the Reverend Willie James Felton of Cordele, Georgia, and Mrs. Vernice Johnson and her husband, Mr. Nehemiah Johnson of Jonesboro, Georgia. Her beloved brothers, Mr. Charlie Thomas Rockwell Jr. and his wife, Mrs. Ernestine Rockwell of Warwick, Georgia, Mr. Curtis Rockwell and his wife, Mrs. Josie Rockwell of Leesburg, Georgia. Her beloved aunts, Mrs. Ruby Curry of Sylvester, Georgia, and Miss Bessie Curry of Albany, Georgia. Her sisters-in-law, Mrs. Juanita Rockwell of Warwick, Georgia, and Mrs. Lily Rockwell of Stone Mountain, Georgia. A host of beloved nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends to include a devoted friend, Mrs. Carolyn Thomas of Cordele, Georgia, survived. Mrs. Lois Teen Rockwell Griffin, age 80, of 474 Williams Road, Cordele, Georgia. Mr. Breon LaShawn Armstrong, age 18, of 2763 U.S. Highway 41 South, Cordele, Georgia, died Saturday, November 9th in Tallahassee, Florida. The funeral service for Mr. Breon LaShawn Armstrong, age 18, was held Saturday, November 16th in the chapel of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home in Cordele, Georgia. His beloved uncle, Dr. Antoine M. Yah, officiated. The burial followed at the Bethel Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted parents, Miss Latoya Harvey and Mr. Sir Gabriel Patrick of Cordele, Georgia. His loving sisters, Miss Chesla Harvey of Americus, Georgia, Miss Linda Armstrong and Miss Sabrina Armstrong of Cordele, Georgia, Miss Zadia Armstrong of Jacksonville, Florida, and Miss Jayla Lawrence of Albany, Georgia. His beloved brothers, Mr. DeRay Harvey of Cordele, Georgia, Mr. Kavashki Armstrong of Tallahassee, Florida, Mr. Sir Gabriel Patrick Jr., Mr. Kavashki Armstrong, and Mr. Cameron Redding, all of Cordele, Georgia, and Mr. Quinte Griffin of Rochelle, Georgia. His beloved grandparents, Miss Linda Smith of Virginia, Mr. Lorenzo Harvey and his wife, Mrs. Valerie Harvey of California, Mrs. Nancy Street of Cordele, Georgia, and Mrs. Eunice Lewis of Vienna, Georgia. His beloved aunts and uncles, Miss Sartoris Munson and Dr. Antoine Yai and his wife, Dr. Benita Yai of Albany, Georgia. Mr. Bernard Harvey and his wife, Mrs. Kamisha Harvey of Atlanta, Georgia. Mr. Lorenzo Harvey Jr., Miss Katrina Jackson, Mr. Carlo Patrick, Miss Tabitha Reese, Mr. Lemmy Lester, and Mr. Adrian Lofton of Cordele, Georgia. Miss Loretta Brown and her husband, Mr. Kelvin Brown of California, and Miss Michelle Lewis of Vienna, Georgia. A host of nieces and nephews, other cousins, many relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. Breon LaShawn Armstrong, age 18, of 2763 U.S. Highway 41 South, Cordele, Georgia. Deacon Lonnie Clayton, age 80, of 581 Felton Avenue, Byronville, Georgia, died Sunday, November 10th, at his residence in Byronville, Georgia. The funeral service for Deacon Lonnie Clayton, age 80, was held Saturday, November 16th, in the sanctuary of the Forest Chapel Baptist Church in Pinehurst, Georgia. The pastor, Reverend Willie Green, officiated. The burial followed in the churchyard cemetery. Survivors include his loving and devoted children, Miss Sherry Clayton of Pinehurst, Georgia, Miss Shalonda Ridley and her husband, Mr. Grantly Ridley of Unadilla, Georgia, Mr. Adam L. Clayton of Byronville, Georgia, Mr. Spencer Cross and Mr. Kirby Cross of Unadilla, Georgia. 18 beloved grandchildren, 3 great-grandchildren, his beloved and devoted sisters, Mrs. Willie Dale Coleman of Lilly, Georgia, Mrs. Inez Glenn of Vienna, Georgia, and Miss Amita Clayton of Doolin, Georgia. His beloved brothers, Mr. Abraham Clayton and his wife, Mrs. Dorothy Clayton of Lilly, Georgia, Mr. Marcus Leon Clayton and his wife, Mrs. Early Clayton of Byronville, Georgia, and Mr. John Thomas of Lilly, Georgia. His beloved aunts, Mrs. Georgia Eva Spivey and Mrs. Frankie Parker of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. A host of beloved nieces, nephews, to include Miss Glenda Young, Miss Rashida Clayton, Miss Paula Coleman, and Miss Shawn Foster Felton. Many cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survived. Deacon Lonnie Clayton, age 80, of 581 Felton Avenue, Byronville, Georgia. Again, the family of Miss Darlene Jones of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Loistine Rockwell Griffin of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mr. Breon LaShawn Armstrong of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Deacon Lonnie Clayton of Byronville, Georgia, would like to thank their many friends for all of the many kindnesses shown to them during their hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. May God bless each of you is their prayer. The Jwwilliams funeral directors serving Cordele and Vienna were in charge of each of these arrangements during the past week. And now, it is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcement. Retired educator Miss Geneva Bridges, age 76, of 4194 D Floor Farm Drive, Powder Spring, Georgia, died Saturday, November 9th at the Powder Springs Center for Nursing and Healing in Powder Springs, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted siblings, Mrs. Dorothy Hines and her husband, Mr. Velton Hines, Mrs. Helen Hart, both of Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Frank Bridges and Mr. Johnny Bridges, both of New Jersey, a host of beloved nieces, nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Retired educator Miss Geneva Bridges, age 76, of 4194 D Floor Farm Drive, Powder Springs, Georgia. The funeral service for retired educator Miss Geneva Bridges, age 76, will be held Saturday, November 23rd at 10 a.m. in the sanctuary of the Greater Gum Creek Baptist Church in Cordele, Georgia. The pastor, Reverend Joseph Hagerbrook, will officiate. The burial will follow in the churchyard cemetery. The public visitation will be Friday, November 22nd from 1 until 5 p.m. at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home. Mrs. Mary Louise Trotman Trahan, age 77, of 1107 East 8th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Wednesday, November 13th, at the home of her beloved daughter in Fairburn, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Mr. Anthony Trotman and his wife, Mrs. Leslie Trotman, Miss Mary Trotman Trahan, and Mr. Charles V. Trahan, all of Hollywood, Florida, Miss Nicole Regina Trahan, and Miss Anitra D. Trahan of Atlanta, Georgia. A host of beloved grandchildren, great-grandchildren, her beloved brothers, Mr. Robert Brown of Macon, Georgia, and Mr. John Trotman and his wife, Mrs. Sonia Trotman of Fort Valley, Georgia. A beloved uncle, Mr. L.C. McLeod of Cordele, Georgia. A host of beloved nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mrs. Mary Louise Trotman Trahan, age 77, of 1107 East 8th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Mary Louise Trotman Trahan, age 77, will be held Saturday, November 23rd at 1 p.m. in the sanctuary of the Greater Morris Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church in Cordele, Georgia. Dr. K.M. Jwwilliams, pastor, the Reverend Isaac H. Owens, pastor of the Mount Calvary Baptist Church, will officiate. The burial will follow at the Westview Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. The public visitation will be Friday, November 22nd from 1 until 5 p.m. at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home. Miss Juanita Cookie Jones, age 60, of 409 West 7th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, formerly of Rochelle, Georgia, died Thursday, November 14th at the Emory University Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Mr. Michael Jones, Miss Catherine Jones, and Mr. Isaac Jones, all of Cordele, Georgia. 6 beloved grandchildren, 2 great-grandchildren, a host of other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Miss Juanita Cookie Jones, age 60, of 409 West 7th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, formerly of Rochelle, Georgia. The funeral service for Miss Juanita Cookie Jones, age 60, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangement. Mrs. Linda Gail Bullitt Jones, age 74, of 1141 Cobb Cheek Road, Cobb, Georgia, died Saturday, November 16th at the Phoebe Sumter Medical Center in Americus, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Mr. Charles Jones and Miss Linda Diane Jones, both of Cobb, Georgia. 6 beloved grandchildren, 4 great-grandchildren, a beloved brother, Mr. Raymond Bullitt Jr. of Cobb, Georgia. Her loving sisters, Miss Mercy Hawkins Bacon, Mrs. Joy Harden and her husband, Mr. Derek Harden, and Miss Tracy Pitts, all of Americus, Georgia. A host of beloved nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mrs. Linda Gail Bullitt Jones, age 74, of 1141 Cobb Creek Road, Cobb, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Linda Gail Bullitt Jones, age 74, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangement. The Jwwilliams funeral directors serving Cordele and Diana are in charge of each of these arrangements during this week. Friends, that conclude our funeral notices for this morning. And as always, we do remind you concerning our pre-funeral arrangements planning available at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home, with packages available with a single pay, a 3-year pay, a 5-year pay, and a 10-year pay. So please stop by and talk with us concerning your pre-funeral arrangements needs available at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home. And also whole life insurance is available at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home.
And now for announcements. The Spring Hill Baptist Church of Tippyville will celebrate the 19th anniversary of its pastor, Reverend Choice Cobb, today, Sunday, November 17th at 2 o'clock p.m. Piney Grove Baptist Church of Kathleen, Georgia, and Reverend Lonnie Slater will be the special guests. Dinner will be served, and everyone has a cordial invitation to attend. Sister Mary Ann Lewis, Secretary. Mother Martha Mills, Church Mother. Deacon Calvin Youngblood, Chairman of Deacons. Reverend Choice Cobb Sr. is the pastor. The Gospel Stars of Lilly, Georgia will celebrate their 40th anniversary Sunday, December 1st at 3 o'clock p.m. at the Turkey Creek Baptist Church. Everyone has a cordial invitation to attend. The New Poplar Spring Baptist Church of Byronville annual Thanksgiving giveaway with greens and other vegetables will be held We'll come back to that announcement. The Jackson Grove Baptist Church will celebrate the 19th anniversary of the pastor, Reverend Eugene Hall, today, Sunday, November 17th at 2 o'clock p.m. Pastor Gregory Williams of Emmanuel Baptist Church, Cordele, will be the guest speaker. Everyone has a cordial invitation to attend. Reverend Eugene Hall is the pastor. The Lebanon Baptist Church of Plains 104th Ushers Anniversary will be on Sunday, November 24th at 11 o'clock a.m. Deacon Darrell Walters will speak on the duties of an usher. Reverend Christopher O'Brien will deliver the sermon. Gleaner captains are Sister Edna Carter, Sister Alice Ruth Muff, and Sister Patricia Williams. Everyone is invited to attend. Deacon J.C. Bryant Jr., President. Deacon Eric Bryant, Chairman of Deacons. Reverend Christopher O'Brien is the pastor. The New Poplar Spring Baptist Church of Byronville annual Thanksgiving giveaway with greens and sweet potatoes will be on Saturday, November 23rd in Cordele and in Unadilla. The Cordele location will be the parking lot in front of BJ's Restaurant at 9 o'clock a.m. Pastor Teacher Johnny Dean extends an invitation for each of you for the annual Thanksgiving giveaway greens and sweet potatoes on Saturday, November 23rd in Cordele and Unadilla. You may contact the church, the pastor or members of the church for the Unadilla location. The Cordele location will be the parking lot in front of BJ's Restaurant, and it will begin at 9 o'clock a.m. The Mount Moriah Baptist Church Family and Friends Day will be observed on Sunday, November 24th at 11 o'clock a.m. Everyone is invited to attend. Reverend Edward Lester is the pastor. Freedom Harvest Worship Center of Leslie, Georgia, will celebrate the 14th anniversary of the pastor, Dr. Georgia Daraso, Sunday, December 1st at 2 o'clock p.m. Whole Truth Ministry and Pastor George Frank Muntz will be the special guest. Dr. Georgia Daraso is the pastor. The Zion Hope Baptist Church of Sumter County invites everyone to the installation service of Pastor-elect Reverend Wesley S. Ashton on Sunday, December 8th. At 3 o'clock p.m., Dr. K.M. Williams, pastor of Greater Mars Tabernacle Baptist Church, will deliver the installation sermon. Everyone has a cordial invitation to attend. Mother Bernice Wiley, Church Mother. Deacon James Cooper, Chairman of Deacons. Reverend Wesley S. Ashton is the pastor-elect. The McAfee Grove Baptist Church of Leesburg invites everyone to worship with them family nights Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m., small class study Thursdays at 7 p.m., Sunday morning worship at 9 o'clock a.m. Minister Tawanda Daniels is the secretary. Dr. Robert L. Morgan Sr. is the pastor. The New Corinth Baptist Church invites you to worship with them today. Services begin at 10 o'clock a.m. Reverend Carl Smith is the pastor. The New St. Stephen's Church of Cordial 9th anniversary celebration for the pastor, Dr. Frankie Harmon, will begin on Thursday, November 21st and continue through Friday, November 22nd at 7:30 p.m. On program will be Thursday, Mount Calvary Baptist Church and Pastor Reverend Isaac H. Owens. Friday, the Gospel and Gold celebration, Sister Talisha Kinder, psalmist, a celebration in memory and in honor of Dr. Irma L. Smith and Elder Albert O. Smith. The celebration will climax on Sunday, November 24th at 11 o'clock a.m. The pastor, Dr. Frankie Harmon, will deliver the message. Everyone is invited to attend. Dr. Frankie Harmon, pastor. Zion Grove No. 2 Baptist Church of Oakfield Annual Men and Women's Day will be Sunday, November 27th at 10 o'clock a.m. Special guest churches will be Fort Early Baptist Church, Zion Grove No. 1 Baptist Church, New Hope Baptist Church, Mount Abel Baptist Church, and William Grove Baptist Church. Mother Ora Morris is the church mother. Deacon Paul Alford is the chairman of deacons. Reverend Tiller Sims is the pastor. Cornerstone Ministries Church of God by Faith of Cordial annual Unity Community Feast will be Saturday, November 23rd from 11 a.m. until 1 o'clock p.m. Free meals will be given to anyone in the community. Cornerstone Ministries Family and Friends Day will be observed on Sunday, November 24th during the 11 a.m. worship service. Elder James Patterson is the pastor. Everyone has a cordial invitation to worship at the Greater Mars Tabernacle Baptist Church today. Sunday school at 9 o'clock a.m., worship service at 9:30 a.m. The Greater Mars Tabernacle Baptist Church invites you to share with them during their conference call. Sunday morning worship at 9:30, Tuesday midday prayer conference at 12 o'clock noon. The call-in number for the conference is 229-329-7611. Mother Mary Henderson, Church Mother. Deacon Arthur L. Parker, Chairman of Deacons. Dr. K.M. Williams is the pastor. You're invited to worship at the Mount Zion First African Baptist Church. Worship Sunday morning at 10 a.m., prayer Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 o'clock noon. Bible studies held each Wednesday at 5 o'clock p.m. The call-in number is 339-209-6419. Deacon Joe Wedges, Chairman of Deacons. Dr. Dan James III is the pastor. Everyone has a cordial invitation to worship at the Assembly Baptist Church. Worship service begins at 10:30 a.m. Deacon Johnny Wilson, Chairman of Deacons. Brother Cecil Strawler is the pastor. You're cordially invited to worship at the New Oak Grove Baptist Church today. Sunday school at 9:15 a.m. Worship service at 10 o'clock a.m. Deacon Alonzo Jones, Chairman of Deacons. Brother W.W. Wilson is the pastor. The Greater Creek Baptist Church invites you to worship with them this morning, beginning at 10:30 a.m. Mother Norma Solomon, Church Mother. Deacon Zachary Fields, Chairman of Deacons. Reverend Joseph Honderbrook is the pastor. You're cordially invited to worship at the St. Paul Presbyterian Church. Worship service begins at 11 o'clock a.m. this morning. You may contact the pastor, Elder Ovita Hegman, at 229-406-1333, or Clerk of Sessions, Elder Ola Outlaw, at 229-322-9775. Pastor Ovita Hegman is the pastor. You're cordially invited to worship at the beautiful Zion Baptist Church with them today during their worship service, which begins at 11 o'clock a.m. Reverend Lorinda Ray is the pastor. The Zion Hope Baptist Church invites you to worship with them each second and fourth Sunday. Sunday school at 10:30 a.m., worship service at 11:30 a.m. Deacon Xavier Bryant Sr. is the chairman of deacons. Reverend Willie James Felton is the pastor. The Mount Olive Baptist Church invites everyone to worship with them each first and third Sunday, with Sunday school at 9 a.m., church service at 10 o'clock a.m. Mother Willie Mae Walker, Church Mother. Deacon Jimmy Fagan, Chairman of Deacons. Bishop Jerome Milton is the pastor. You're cordially invited to worship at the Mount Calvary Baptist Church today in celebration of the annual Deacon and Deaconess anniversary, as well as the ordination service to deacon for Brother Marlon Paul and Brother Emmett Graham. Everyone has a cordial invitation to attend the service. Sunday school begins at 9:45 a.m., worship service at 10:45 a.m. Mother Evelyn Lewis, Church Mother. Deacon Leon Spears, Chairman of Deacons. Reverend Isaac H. Owens is the pastor. That concludes our announcements for this morning.
And now for dedications. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following: in loving memory of Mr. Harold Edward, better known to all of us as Danny, who would have celebrated his birthday November 6th and departed this life November 15th, 2011. Dedication requested by his son, Mr. Michael Brown, his brothers, Brother Walter, Brother Billy, Wayne Edwards, and the entire family. Gone, but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mrs. Fatina Lawton, who would have celebrated her birthday November 13th. Dedication requested by the Lawton and Epps family. Precious memory lingers still. In loving memory of the Reverend Nathaniel A. Jackson Sr. and Mother Mary Jackson, who would have celebrated their anniversary November 14th. Dedication requested by their children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and the entire Jackson family. Gone, but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mr. C. Hart Harmon Sr., who would have celebrated his birthday November 15th. Dedication requested by his beloved daughter, Mother Pearl Reed, and the entire Harmon family. Gone, but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mrs. Maddie B. Clark, who departed this life November 15, 2001. Dedication requested by the Clark family. Precious memory lingers still. In loving memory of Mrs. Harriet Hoggebrook, who departed this life November 16, 2020. Dedication requested by our children, grandchildren, and the entire family and the members of the Mount Zion First African Baptist Church. Gone, but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mrs. Thelma Pickens, who would have celebrated her birthday November 16, dedication requested by the Pickens family. Precious memory lingers still. In loving memory of our beloved Mrs. Ora Lee Adams, I-8T, who departed this life November 16, 1991. Dedication requested by the Adams and Manning family. Gone, but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mr. C. Hart Harmon Jr., who would have celebrated his birthday November 18 and departed this life November 18, 1978. Dedication requested by his beloved wife, Mother Jessie Kate Harmon, all of his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and the entire family. Gone, but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mrs. Mary Lizzie Glover, who departed this life November 19, 2010. Dedication requested by the Glover family. Gone, but not forgotten. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following. Happy birthday to Miss Octavia Hutchins, who celebrated her birthday Wednesday, November 13. Dedication requested by the Lawton and Epps family. Special birthday wishes goes out to Mrs. Alice Faye Green, who celebrated her birthday Thursday, November 14th. Dedication requested by our children, grandchildren, and the entire Jackson family and her church family, the Great Amaris Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church of Pastor Dr. K.M. Williams and Deacon Tommy Ford Jr. all says happy birthday to Mrs. Alice Faye Green. Happy birthday to Mrs. Carol Morrell, who celebrated her birthday Friday, November 15th. Dedication requested by our husband, Mr. Kelvin Morrell, her children, grandchildren, her beloved mother, the entire Blanks and Morrell family. Happy birthday to Mrs. Rosa Harmon, who celebrated her birthday Saturday, November 16th. Dedication requested by our beloved mother, Mother Jessica Kate Harmon, and the entire family. Happy birthday to Mrs. Lucille Trice, who is celebrating her birthday today, November 17th. Dedication requested by the Trice, Williams, Lawton, and Epps family. Happy birthday to Ms. Lindell Westbrook, who will celebrate her birthday Monday, November 18th. Dedication requested by her husband, Mr. Willie King Westbrook, her children, grandchildren, and the entire family, and her beloved mother-in-law, Mother Martha Ruth Westbrook. All says happy birthday to Mrs. Lindell Westbrook. Happy birthday to Miss Val Ross, who will celebrate her birthday Tuesday, November 18th. Dedication requested by her beloved family. Happy birthday to Mr. Lonnie Coleman, who will celebrate his birthday Tuesday, November 19th. Dedication requested by his beloved family. Happy birthday to Miss Samantha Trice, who will celebrate her birthday Thursday, November 22nd. Dedication requested by the entire Trice family. Happy birthday to Miss Nina Jwwilliams, who will celebrate her birthday Friday, November 22nd. Dedication requested by her beloved family. Mrs. Velma McGriffin would like to say happy birthday to her niece, Miss Chandra Barry, who will celebrate her birthday November the 17th, and also to her husband, Mr. Willie McGriff, who will celebrate his birthday November 18th. Dedication comes from Mrs. Velma McGriff. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following. Deacon James Smith and family, Deacon George Jordan and family, Vienna, Georgia, Deacon Jerome Jordan and family, retired educator Mrs. Margaret Jordan and family, past commissioner Mr. A.J. Rivers and Mother Vera Rivers and family, Mr. Willie James Patrick and family, Deacon Jake and Mrs. Mary Reese and family, Mother Mamie Robinson and family, Deacon Kelvin and Sister Rosemary Jones and family, Deacon and Mrs. Lawrence Williams and family, Deacon and Mrs. George Lawrence and family, Deacon and Mrs. Janet Wilson and family, Deacon and Mrs. J.C. Patrick Jr. and family, the Reverend Willie E. Lockett and Sister Helen Lockett and family of Albany, Georgia, pastor of the Greater Pines Chapel Baptist Church of Albany, Georgia, City Commissioner Vesta Bill Shepherd and the entire Bill family, Chris County Coroner, Mr. Ricky Dawson and family, Deaconess Martha A. Cross and family, Mr. and Mrs. Richard Cross and family, Mr. and Mrs. Reginald Cross and family, Deacon and Mrs. Roger Westbrook and family, the entire Westbrook family, and the members of the Pleasant Hill Baptist Church of Hatley, Georgia, Deacon and Mrs. Greg Frederick and family, Brother Memrich Bryan and family, Deacon James and Dr. Elizabeth Maddox and family, their mother, Mother Eddie Mae Graper and family, Deacon and Mrs. Paul Alfred and family, Mother Ora Morris and family, Deacon and Mrs. Ronnie Morris and family, Deaconess Carrie Brooks and family, Elder and Mrs. David Johnson and family, Mother Willie Mae Leary and family of Hatley, Georgia, Mrs. Martha Ruth Westbrook and family, the Reverend Dion Jones and family, Mrs. Aletha Askew, church clerk and trustee of the New Oak Grove Baptist Church, the Honorable Juanita Kinchin, Mayor of the City of Warwick, Georgia, Deacon and Mrs. Frank Mays and family of Lee County, Georgia, Deacon Emery Wright and the entire Wright family of Albany and Lee County, Georgia, Miss Willie Mae Crapp and family, the Killings family, the Denmark family, the Jen Wright family, the Daniels family, the Quarterman family, Mr. Silence and Mrs. Doretha Didale, and the members of the Big Bethel Baptist Church of DeSoto, Georgia, the Patrick family, Mrs. Janice Bush and family, the Perry family, Mr. Harold Perry and family, the Rutherford family, the Bryant family, the Jackson family, the Sumner family, the Oliver family, the Leggett family, Mrs. Jackie Lattimore and family, Miss Vivian Daniels and family, Mrs. Mary Frances Davis and family, Mrs. Shalonda Donaldson and family, Mr. Justin Colbert Jr. and family, Mr. Freddie and Mrs. Bernice Pittman and family, Deacon and Mrs. Arthur Darisaw and family, Miss Loretta Fields and family, Miss Gwen Gaston and family, Miss Rashonda Holmes and family, Miss Burl Patrick and family, Mother Willie McGill and family. Miss Mary Taylor and family. Miss Rashida Fields and family. Miss Nebby Cross and family. Mr. Tommy Glenn and family. Miss Teresa Stubbins and family. Mrs. Norma Solomon and family. Mrs. Angela Solomon and family. The Reverend Woody and Sister Patricia Barnum and family. Miss Mary Applin and family. Judge Gail Sims and family. Mrs. Thelma Harper and family. Brother James Leon Hughes and the members of the Church of Christ at Hilltop. Mrs. Edna Clay and family. Mrs. Keith Muntz and family of Americas, Georgia. Mrs. Eddie Mae Cooks and family. Mrs. Pearl Reed and family. Bishop Maggie Washington and family. Elder Gardner and Ms. Beulah Morgan and family. Pastor Ola Lofton and family. Mrs. Gail Chanel and family. Mrs. Juanita Montford and family. Ms. Katrina Jones and family. Mrs. Nancy Butler and family. Mr. A.B. and Mr. and Mrs. A.B. Levant and family, the Dennis family, Mother Adeline Lofton, Church Mother of the Little Rock Baptist Church of Araby, Georgia, Mrs. Sidney Ruff and family, Mrs. Annette Ruff and family, Mrs. Quintet Ruff and family, Ms. Valerie Carter and family, Mrs. Barbara Roberts and family, Mr. Anthony Williams and family, Mr. Sean Hutchins and family, Mrs. Selma Jackson and family, the Redding family, the Lawton and Epps family, the Rogers family, Mr. Charles and Mrs. Vivian Daniels and families, F.D. Lawton and family, Ms. Lois Reynolds and family, Ms. Claudette Armstrong and family, Mrs. Bernice Lester and family, the Christopher family, the Mobley family, Mother Mary Henderson and family, Mrs. Costello Levan and family, Mrs. Dorothy Westbrook and family, the Reverend and Mrs. Nelson Maynard and family, the Reverend Fred and Mrs. Jackie Brown and family, the Reverend and Mrs. Jeff Wilson, and the members of the Oldham Grove Baptist Church Chairman, Deacon Frank Brown and family, the Reverend and Mrs. Joseph Hollerbrook and family, the members of the Greater Gum Creek Baptist Church, Deacon Leroy and Mrs. Diane Thomas and families, Monica Westbrook and family, the Reverend Artist and Mr. Sean Westbrook and family, Deacon and Mrs. Charlie Westbrook and family, Mr. Donald and Mrs. Ruby Daniels and family. Our first selection goes out to the entire Tarbert family, Deacon and Mrs. John Stubbs and family, Deacon and Mrs. Donald Tarbert and family, Mrs. Juanita Mathis Tarbert and family. Our first selection for this morning. It is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcement. Retired educator Miss Geneva Bridges, age 76, 4194 D Floor Farm Drive, Powder Springs, Georgia, died Saturday, November 9th at the Powder Springs Center for Nursing and Healing in Powder Springs, Georgia. The funeral service for retired educator Ms. Geneva Bridges, age 76, will be held Saturday, November 23rd at 10 a.m. in the sanctuary of the Greater Gum Creek Baptist Church in Cordele, Georgia. The pastor, Reverend Joseph Hollerbrook, will officiate. The burial will follow in the churchyard cemetery. The public visitation will be Friday, November 22nd, from 1 until 5 p.m. at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home. Mrs. Mary Louise Trotman Trahan, age 77, of 1107 East 8th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Wednesday, November 13th, at the home of her beloved daughter in Fairburn, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Mary Louise Trotman Trahan, age 77, will be held Saturday, November 23rd at 1 p.m. in the sanctuary of the Greater Morris Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church in Cordele, Georgia. Dr. Jwwilliams, pastor. The Reverend Isaac H. Owens, pastor of the Mount Calvary Baptist Church, will officiate. The burial will follow at the Westview Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. The public visitation will be Friday, November 22nd from 1 until 5 p.m. at the Jwwilliams Funeral Home. Miss Juanita Cookie Jones, age 60, of 409 West 7th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, formerly of Rochelle, Georgia, died Thursday, November 14th at the Emory University Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. The funeral service for Miss Juanita Cookie Jones, age 60, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. Mrs. Linda Gail Bullock Jones, age 74, of 1141 Cobb Cheek Road, Cobb, Georgia, died Saturday, November 16th at the Phoebe Sumter Medical Center in Americus, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Linda Gail Bullock Jones, age 74, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. The Jwwilliams funeral directors serving Cordele and Vienna are in charge of each of these arrangements during this week. Our program this morning is dedicated to the bereaved families whose loved ones were laid to rest during the past week. The family of Miss Darlene Jones of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Miss Loistine Rockwell Griffin of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mr. Breon LaShawn Armstrong of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Deacon Lonnie Clayton of Byronville, Georgia. This election is dedicated to the bereaved families whose loved ones will be laid to rest during this week. The family of retired educator Ms. Geneva Bridges of Powder Springs, Georgia. The family of Ms. Mary Louise Trotman Trahan of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Ms. Juanita Cookie Jones of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Linda Gail Bullock Jones of Cobb, Georgia. This election is dedicated to all of the sick and shut in, to all patients in the local and surrounding hospitals, nursing homes, and rehabilitation centers, to our beloved ministers and their devoted family members, to all retired educators, to the men and women serving in armed forces, both stateside and abroad, to all veterans, and to everyone who listens to our program on each Sunday morning. It's a pleasure for us to bring it to you. Our program goes out in memory of our past president, Dr. Napoleon Williams, to my wife, Mrs. Calandra Wilkerson Parker, to my son, Jai Wilkerson Parker. This election goes out to my brother, retired Chief Master Sergeant Norman F. Dexter, and his wife, Dr. Gwendolyn Maxine Dexter, and our grandson, Noble. The election goes out to my sister, Mrs. Patsy Jackson, and her husband, Mr. Jim Jackson of Cordele, Georgia. Goes out to my nephew, Deacon Kenneth Smith, program chairman of the Greater Morris Tabernacle Baptist Church, and here with us this morning presenting our program by YouTube watchers and Facebook watchers there. I'd like to say thank you to him, Deacon Kenneth Smith. Goes out to our pastor, Dr. K.M. Williams, pastor of the Greater Morris Tabernacle Baptist Church, his wife, Sister Kathy Williams, and the entire Williams family of Cordele and Albany, Georgia. This election goes out to our friend and brother, the Reverend Johnny Dean, pastor of the New Poplar Spring Baptist Church of Ironville, Georgia. Goes out to our dear brother, Deacon Jimmy Charles Montfred, his wife, Sister Carol Montfred, chairman of the Board of Deacons of the Crossroad Baptist Church in Cordele, Georgia. This election goes out to Mr. Cleveland R. Lemon, oldest staff member of the Jwwilliams Funeral Home. Was out my niece, Mrs. Vera Mathis, and Mrs. Florine Montfred Manning, and the entire Montfred and Manning family. This section goes out to Mr. Charlie, Mrs. Joaquin Jackson and family, Mr. Ernie and Mrs. Lisa Bryan and family, Mr. Willie B. Barnes and family, Vienna, Georgia, the family of the late Deacon Betty Crane, Miss Lily Crane and family, Miss Shunta K. Bowens and family, Mrs. Patsy Carter and the entire Carter family, Deacon and Mrs. Zachary Fields and family, Deacon Tommy and Mrs. Gradine Ford and family, Mrs. Lucille G. Harris and family, retired educator, Mrs. Mary Frances Davis and family, Mr. Joseph Glenn and family. Goes out to Mr. and Mrs. Judge Glenn and family, Mrs. Burrow Patrick and family, Miss Chanel Williams and family, Mrs. Dorothy Rose Jones and family, Miss Valerie Jones and family, Mrs. Frederick Hardeman, Mrs. Frederick Hardeman and family, Mrs. Annette Stembridge and family. Goes out to our beloved Mrs. Easter May Sanders and family on this third Sunday, November 2024. God bless you.
Thank you for joining us this morning. We hope you've enjoyed our program. Tune in again on next Sunday morning. And remember, in your time of need, contact the competent, capable, and dependable staff at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home.